Hey, what's up everybody, this is Survival1 and today I want to show you guys a variation on my recent one-shot elemental Amara build. And this build is going to be more focused on being super tanky and doing more gun damage and having more elemental damage off of our gun damage. So we're going to go straight into the talent trees first. So first we're going to go into the brawl tree. We want to be super tanky, so this is a good place to start. We have 4 out of 5 root to rise, which is just max HP. We have personal space, which we do more damage the closer we are to a target. Then we have helping hands, which give us damage reduction after we use our action skill, 40%, which is really big. Now something to note here, if you don't hit something with phase grasp and it just resets the cooldown, you will actually activate this. So you can have this up a lot of the time. Next we have mindfulness, which is one of the funnest talents on Amara, I think. So basically when you get shot, you gain stacks of mindfulness, and every stack gives you shield regeneration delay and movement speed. So basically, and it stacks up 25 times. So once you have this stacked up, you're ridiculously fast and your shield regens ridiculously fast. So it's just really fun with the movement speed, and then you're super tanky as well. So next we have one with nature. Amara gains increased max HP and elemental damage resistance to her skill element. So basically we just get max HP, and then whatever element we have equipped as our action skill element, we get a big damage reduction towards that. And going with our tanky build, we have Guardian Angel, which basically makes you instantly revive when you get downed. Once every 120 seconds, you have full HP and shields when you get revived, and you send out a Nova that knocks everything back around you. So next we only have one in the mythical assault tree, and that's Violent Tapestry, which basically gives us a status effect chance increase off rush stacks. And with the stuff we're using, like the last build, we can still just spam our phase grasp on nothing and get up to 99 rush stacks. So this does help with some stuff, especially some of the weapons I'm using that have a really low chance to apply the effect but are incredibly strong when they actually do. So now the main tree is Fist of Elements. So first we have Anima, which basically increases our status effect damage, our status effect duration, and then our status effect or our action skill status effect damage. So basically just any elemental stuff, we're getting damage increases. Pretty big. Next we have Infusion, which makes a portion of the damage up by your weapons turn into your action skill element. That's 40%. So since I have fire on, 40% goes into fire. Now what I've heard is that this is actually glitched, and if you use a weapon with the same element as the element you're currently using as your action skill element, that the action skill element will override any status effects that should be coming from your weapon and make the status effects super weak, because it's only ticking for like 170 or something like that on most builds. So make sure not to use the same element that you are actually running. So if you're running fire like I am, don't use a weapon that has fire on it, which is kind of the way I usually thought you should be using this anyway. Since you're going anima and everything, you should be using a different element to get multiple elements on them at the same time and just get that ridiculous damage ticking. So next we have Tempest, which just gives a just straight damage increase to elemental damage, and then extra damage increase to shock damage, which I don't actually use a ton. Mainly it's 2 other elements. But next we have Dread, which basically when we grasp an enemy, they take increased, or your gun damage is increased after you grasp an enemy. And whenever you kill a grasp enemy, your weapon is instantly reloaded, which actually does help quite a bit, especially with some slower loading weapons. So next we have Indiscriminate, which basically has a chance to ricochet bullets around. That's pretty much all it does. It just can ricochet bullets everywhere. Next we have Deep Well, which increases your magazine size of elemental weapons. Definitely helps a bit. That 20% can definitely help on some weapons. Next we have Sustainment, which basically makes you lifesteal off elemental damage with your weapon, 20%, which is pretty big. You can lifesteal quite a bit. Keep yourself alive off that. Then we have Forceful Expression, which Amara's guns deal bonus elemental damage based on her action skill element. So say on fire, 18% of damage dealt increase, or I get a bonus of 18% of the damage I deal as fire or whatever element you have equipped. And the ability I'm using is Ties That Bind, which is Grasp, that then ties all other enemies around that, so they take a percentage of the damage the main one takes. We have a Lure, which pulls everything in to whatever you grasp. Basically, Azaria Vortex then throws them around, really cool. And I'm mainly using Incinerary. You know, you can switch. So we have all three elements. We have Shock, we have Corrosive, and we have Fire. So you could switch on and off whenever you need to. And a really cool thing about a Lure with one of the weapons I'm using, which takes us into the equipment. This weapon I'm using, I think, is very underpowered. I haven't seen many people talk about it, but it's insane with this build. So this is Recursion. This is the main thing I'm using. This is the main thing you'll see in the footage after I'm done talking. And basically what this thing does, you can get these in every element, and they all come with 2 elements because they're Molly 1. Any element that, you know, would put a damage over time status effect has a ridiculous amount of damage. So as you can see here, if I put a status effect on it, just off what it shows, it does 3,800 a second. Now they all have low chance to apply it, but with our chance increases, we get to apply it a lot more. And also what this does is when you shoot it, it basically shoots out a disc. Basically, it's a elemental Captain America shield that bounces around and hits stuff. Now, if stuff is closer and it's bouncing between 2 targets, it will bounce quicker because they're closer. So when you grasp something and it allures and pulls everything around it, and then you hit something with it, not only are all the things are spinning around it taking a percentage of the damage you hit with the main target, but then it's also bouncing to the other target, bouncing back, so making everything just take a bunch of bounces back and forth, having a much higher chance to apply status effects if they stay alive, and then, you know, making all the other tethered things take more damage because the main thing's getting hit more and more. And also, this thing does pretty good damage. It does 1,500 damage, basically off what it shows off the baseline. So that's pretty good damage overall. And then add that to, you know, all the damage we get with Infusion, all the damage you get with Forceful Expression, just all the increased elemental damage because we're doing elemental, and it's hitting ridiculously hard on stuff. And then if it's bouncing super quickly to different stuff, as you'll see in the video, some of the times I'll just have a group of hardened badasses that basically just get like insta-killed just because this thing is bouncing so much in between them. It's super fun to use. One of the funnest guns with this build to use for sure. And one of the important things also is having a Phase Zerker again. Now what Phase Zerker does is on action skill used, Amara gains her max rush stack count, but they decay over time. Amara gains 3% weapon damage and 10% action skill damage based on the number of rush stacks, max rush stacks plus 5. So basically, you do this, you get rush stacks because your phase grasp resets if you don't hit anything with it, and you're getting rush stacks, you're getting increased damage, increased cooldown rate. Now, I don't exactly know how much this scales because I don't actually know if rush stacks going above a certain point and like going up to 99 is a bug or it's just badly worded, you know, abilities, and that's why we can get up to 99. But basically, you are able to get more stacks and you do more damage and have cooldown rate off those stacks. Now this build is much less about keeping those stacks up because it's not super important to the build, but keeping those stacks going somewhat easily in this build definitely will help. One of the best mods or artifacts you can get is the elemental damage boost, which when you have an element on you, you deal increased damage with that element, which is really good. The basically legendary attribute on the one I have isn't very good at all. It's pretty much useless for me. I guess I do melee a few times, but not that useful. There's probably a better legendary artifact. I can't think of one right now for the effect, but you definitely want the elemental damage boost. That's very good. Especially since some stuff you can just do it to yourself. Like you can look at the ground and say catch yourself on fire or something, or something explosive like this. I can just shoot at the ground. If I had a fire one, I could just catch myself on fire. Now I'm doing additional fire damage. I have corrosive on me. I'm doing additional corrosive right now. So that definitely does a lot more damage. The grenade I'm using is porcelain pipe bomb. In the footage, I try to use it less, even though in the circle of slaughter, which is where I show the footage after I'm done talking, basically there's no really boss things, so just like half the enemies are the same enemy. So a porcelain pipe bomb, even if I use it some, it's all the same enemies or close to it, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. Like no one can feel like you know, just using a porcelain pipe bomb to kill all the hard enemies. The shield I'm using is a transformer right now, which is just an overall super tanky shield because it gives high capacity. It converts 100% of shock damage into shield, so you're basically immune to shock damage. You can absorb bullets, adding them to your ammo count, which is also nice, just making you more tanky. And then this one's anointed, so when I phase grasp, I trigger novas around me constantly that deal 3,700 damage off the baseline, which is decent damage. It's not that big of an area, but it is nice to also have because it actually is an anointed thing that works. Now, some other weapons besides a recursion that I use, any laser exploders, these come in every element, are very good. That's what I was just shooting myself with. I hope I don't die here. Okay, that's good. But basically what these do is they're a beam, and they also shoot out explosives when you're shooting the beam. So they do some pretty good damage. You can get them with every element, so these are pretty good as well. Then conference calls, I don't think I really use any in the footage because I pretty much only use a recursion in the footage, to be honest. But conference calls are really good. I think you can get every element on conference calls too, because I have a cryo run here. And conference calls are just really good. If you don't know what they are, basically you shoot a bullet and then it shoots the same thing like side to side. Borderlands 2, it was like the most ridiculously overpowered thing. It's still really strong in Borderlands 3 as well. So conference calls are always really good. The crossroads, obviously super amazing, just really high damage because this SMG is a burst SMG that every shot it shoots out 4 rounds. So it just does so many shots. This is really good for ricocheting because you'll notice when a ricochet happens, because since it shoots out 4 rounds every shot, it'll ricochet. If it ricochets, it'll ricochet those 4 rounds, and it's just ridiculous. Really good weapon. You can get this in every element too. Some other weapons, there's not really a lot of other weapons I could think of. I mean, you can always use Ludas. Those are really good. Or Lyudas, I guess. Those are always really good, really high damage. Just a fully automatic sniper, basically. Then we have something specific for bosses, which I really don't have a boss build, even though at the beginning of the video I will be showing you guys a really quick boss kill, because the King's Call and the Queen's Call, if you don't know, these things are like the best boss killers for certain bosses. Unless you're Flak. But basically what I would want to be optimal with this, and this would be for a boss killing build, is I would want the anointed thing, the anointed buff that makes you, when you face slam, you do 300% increased weapon damage. This one has a melee damage one on it, which really doesn't help me for this build. But when you do that, basically what we would do is we would just switch to phase slam, then you would just spam your weapon. If you can get other good weapons like crossroads or whatever with the 300% damage off phase slam increase, those are going to be really good. Conference call would be amazing. Anything like that would be really good. So then you just switch to phase slam real quick for the boss, phase slam, then destroy the boss with your incredibly increased damage. And also take into consideration that 300% damage, you're also, you know, doing elemental damage off infusion. You're also just getting straight damage increase off forceful expression. You know, you're just getting tons of elemental damage. So you would want an elemental weapon, but you're just going to do a ridiculous amount of damage. So that's what you want to do to switch this up for a boss killing build, because this can be really good for killing bosses. This can definitely be much better than my recent one-shot build this is a variation of. It can be much better at killing bosses than that build could, because it has so much just good stuff in this tree. So that's pretty much the entire build. Also, if you guys have any questions on anything you want me to clarify, or where I get any of the items for this build, just leave it in the comment. I definitely try to reply to everything. if this build gets views like my last build did, it does get kind of hard, but I still try to reply to as much as I possibly can. But that's the entire build. After this, I will be showing some footage of me in the Circle of Slaughter on True Vault Thunder mode, with Mayhem 3 on, just destroying some of the strongest non-boss enemies in the game. But anyways, subscribe if you want to see more Borderlands 3 content. Leave a like if you liked this video. Leave a comment down below what you think about this build, what you think about Borderlands 3 as a whole, and thanks for watching.
Take them out.
More death and destruction. Another round.
Love an extra set of hands. Greatest.
Make me the happiest one. You're a monster, but in a fucking good way. Well.
I'm ready for a fight. Ready to unleash this power.
Explosively fucking awesome. Fuck yeah.
Unkillable!
Yes, that time we had to.
Who wants some free kills? Say my name!
That was good shit.
Hands up! I can feel the power! Making headlines! I'm down for a brawl.
Come here, you filthy heretic! Fucking righteous! Get ready for some fucking action! New round! Go!
Ready for ya! Power! A trance, a dance, a massacre!
Mass Fury!